Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. Due to YouTube's changing quote-unquote community standards, I created a channel called Grumpy Old Fart over on Rumble, a free speech alternative to YouTube. You can see all of my stuff over there, including my political and social commentary, as well as my current events videos. The links to my YouTube and Rumble channels, as well as links to let you order my books, are in the description of this video. If you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. Now, on with the video. Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I wanted to do this story for a long time because the story fascinates me. The problem is, whenever I do a story like this, I try to do as much research as I can. This story is almost as ridiculously covered as the Roswell incident. This story has so much information, and a lot of it contradict each other. I've been researching this particular story for almost 8 months now. And every article that you read somehow contradicts other articles that you read. So what I did, I finally broke down a couple weeks ago, and I laid out a dozen articles, and I started reading and picking out the stuff that was common in all of them, that wasn't contradicted. Okay? Now, if you've read an article, when you listen to this video, if you've read an article that contradicts some of this stuff, join the club. Okay? I'm just saying. I'm right there with you. There's only so much research one person can do. I work full time and like that. And the sad part is, a lot of the people who wrote these articles, their job is to research stuff like this. And so you get thorough accounting in every report, but the problem is the reports contradict each other. So you don't know what's real and what's not. So I'm trying to collate all the information that's not contradicted. So bear with me if you find something that I screwed up on, okay? This is the Dyatlov Pass incident. This particular story has intrigued me for years. In January of 1959, 9 student hikers embarked on a cross-country hike through the Ural Mountains of Russia. They were led by Igor Dyatlov, which is, I assume, is the name of the Dyatlov, why the Dyatlov Pass is named the Dyatlov Pass. It's by a mountain called the Dead Mountain. So take from that what you will. And there was actually another hiker, as I understand it, that there was actually 10 that started out, and one of them had a health issue and had to turn back. 10 days into the hike, the group reached a spot near a mountain that the locals call the Dead Mountain. In the middle of the night, for some unknown reason, the hikers cut their way out of their tent and fled down the mountain in sub-zero temperatures without their winter clothing or boots on, and in various stages of undress. Some of them were inebriated. When they were overdue, search parties were sent out. The hikers' bodies were found over a mile from the tent. They were found in several different locations with various injuries ranging from scratches to cuts and bruises to a fractured skull to broken ribs and even a missing tongue. The Soviet government closed the case and sealed the records, claiming that the hikers had frozen to death for reasons unknown. There are so many strange facts about this case that no one explanation seems to fit. I just jotted a few down here. The official government report about the incident has 2 different dates attached to it, one on the cover and one on the report itself. One of these dates is for a week before the hikers were reported missing. This has given rise to many conspiracy theories of a government cover-up. And, it could very well have been a clerical error, but you never know. I'm by nature, I'm a paranoid man. I don't trust the government. I've seen them, what they do firsthand, so I do not trust them. There was a flashlight perched atop the tent, proving that there were other people at the scene prior to the search party finding the campsite. Several cameras were found, including multiple rolls of film. One picture taken on one roll of frame 34 shows an out-of-focus picture of a light in the sky. It is traveling very fast, and it is not a flare. Another question is, why did they exit the tent without warm clothes, jackets, or boots? Why did they cut their way out of the tent? If something's outside the tent, the last thing you want to do is get out of the tent. Whatever they were afraid of was in the tent with them. It may have been a fire. Maybe the tent caught fire. I don't know. Maybe they had a cooking stove there. I want to say it was a homemade cooking stove for warmth or whatever. Maybe the thing caught fire. Who knows? But as I understand it, there was a picture of a guy earlier with his jacket on, and the jacket had been burned. It looked like it had been burned. So maybe that was it. Who knows? For whatever reason, these people abandoned their warm clothes, jackets, and boots and fled the tent. They cut their way out of the tent. That's just crazy. One member of the group was much older. He was 37. He was an outdoorsman and a soldier. He'd gotten awards for fighting in World War II. He needed one more expedition to qualify for an upgrade in his job as an instructor of tourism. The group seemed to get along well with him, so there was no issue there. One of the members of the group was horsing around and panhandling for money by singing songs in one of the local towns. He was arrested by the police. The rest of the group collectively, and this was before the hike started, or maybe it was early in the hike, I'm not sure. Again, multiple reports and they all say different things. The rest of the group collectively asked the policeman to let him go. This shows how good everyone got along and that they were good friends, because in the old Soviet Union, one did not interact with the police willingly. I know people, good friends of mine, if I got arrested, they would be like, well, we'll come visit you. They wouldn't have interacted with the police, especially there. Okay? Here we go. A 10th member of the group had to quit before the expedition started. I mentioned that earlier. 3 articles of clothing were found to be radioactive. I've heard reports that the radioactivity was very minor. You know, it could have been heavy background radiation, and that some of these people worked in businesses and companies that did radioactive stuff, so that may have been explained, but we're not sure. Lights in the sky like UFOs were reported before, during, and after the incident from all around the area for several weeks. A blurred picture of a humanoid figure in the trees was found in the rolls of film. Many believe it is a picture of a Yeti. It could very well have been some of them horsing around, because obviously these people were jovial, they were having fun. It could have been one of them horsing around, we don't know. The picture's too blurry to really make anything out. But it is a humanoid figure in the woods. That's all we know. 2 members of a search team found the tent, but did not check inside. Then they did not report finding the tent for 2 days. That right there is suspect. If you're out in the cold, in the winter, in the woods, in the mountains, looking for somebody, you find a tent, but you don't look inside and you don't tell nobody for 2 days, something's up with that. These two members of the search team, they need to be investigated, if you ask me. Tracks indicate that they all walked together away from the tent and then diverged in different directions. So, whatever, if it was something outside the tent that scared them that badly, it had to have been on the opposite side of the tent. I don't know. It's crazy. Many people have put forth theories about what happened to the hikers and why they froze to death and why they fled the tent. I've listed 8 of them here. Aliens, a Yeti. Those are the 2 because of the pictures. That's the main thing there. Some people say there was an avalanche. There's no evidence of an avalanche in the area. People are talking about U.S. spies being in the area. They're talking about Russian military, either from a nearby deserted gulag or Maybe the Russian military was testing chemical weapons. If they're testing chemical weapons, that would explain that would give a possible theory as to why it drove them crazy and why they fled the tent like that. But even that's a stretch. Some people are saying there might have been a sexual conflict in the tent. Maybe there was a love triangle and one of them went crazy. I don't know. Some people are saying that local shamans drugged them. There are locals that live in the area, and the shamans are known to dally with roots and herbs and like that. So maybe one of the shamans got in there and drugged them and drove them all crazy. Who knows? Although in the here's the thing about that. It's hard to tell because the autopsy was not. It wasn't a normal autopsy. The government was involved. And if the government was covering it up, you can't trust the autopsy. You see what I'm saying? So we don't know what was in their system other than being inebriated. And not all of them were inebriated. So. Then there's the curse of the mountain, the dead mountain, which at this point makes as much sense as anything else. Now, none of these theories can be proved. None of them can be disproved. Right now, it's all wild speculation. For some reason, those 9 people cut themselves out of their own tent and fled. The official report stated that the cuts and bruises and scabbed over knuckles were the result of falling down. Have you ever caved in your chest or you gotten your knuckles scabbed over from falling in snow? I haven't. I don't know about you, but I haven't. That's a bit of a stretch. I can see, you're trying to catch yourself, you land on your palms. Yeah, that would scratch up your palms. But your knuckles? That doesn't make any sense. Those are fighting injuries. Either offensive or defensive. I'm just saying, they're fighting injuries. When the government tried to bury the hikers hundreds of miles from their home, people objected. The funerals were finally held back at home, and the attendees were watched by the KGB. Multiple people reported that. 2 members of the team had violent impacts to their chests, which caused their deaths. Again, their chests were caved in, virtually. The wounds are virtually all consistent with violent acts like fighting and things like that. The government report says that they were forced out of the tent by an unknown compelling force. This was 1959 in the old Soviet Union. It seems to me, if the KGB was watching people at the funeral, it seems to me that the Russian government was as bad at covering stuff up as the American government is. So, I don't know. At this point, it looks like there was some sort of military involvement. It looks like something either approached from the opposite side of the tent where they fled from. They fled one direction, and from the opposite side, something was approaching that they were afraid of, or something was actually in the tent that they were afraid of. It's possible that they got a hold of some new chemical that the Russians were working on that drove them crazy. Who knows? Honestly, who knows? At this point, there's more questions than answers. But I've been wanting to do the Dyatlov Pass incident for some time, and so that's all I got, folks. I'm sorry I couldn't do more. But there's, again, so much information, you can't get a cogent timeline there. Again, if you know more, if you know different information, please put it in the comments. I'm sure people would love to read it. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all. We elect cookie-cutter politicians every single election cycle. Yes men who maintain the status quo and do just enough to make us believe the system still works. Imagine, if you will, a president who actually tries to fix things. If you like action, political intrigue, and a righteous crusade, check out my political thriller, The Righteous President.